Eric. How you doing today, Eric?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Doing fantastic. I guess this Class 500, we're looking at top speeds of right around 75 mile per hour. What about the 600 to 700?
I believe the 600 boat, which is Powerhouse Racing, was moved into Class 5 for today. So, in the 5 boats that are in Class 7, they're going to top out at 60 miles an hour. These classes are called bracket classes, and if the boats have a set speed limit, if they break out of that, they can be disqualified.
Now, from what I understand, Team Woody Racing was actually the world champions last year, and they're going to be in that Class 500.
Yes, they are world and national champions, J.J. Turk and Michael Stancomb, and Michael Stancomb is also the throttleman in Class 1 for JBS Racing.
Well, joining those folks down there on the track in the Class 500, we've got Team Farnsworth Motorsports with Urban Grant and Mark Didario is the throttle man. Then we've got Bulletproof GoodCars.com with Elijah Kingery, the driver, Greg Belfato, the throttle man. As we pointed out, Team Woody, we got Yabba Dabba Doo, Larry James, and J.D. Ivans. We've got Hammerheads, Fly SRQ, that's Dennis Austin and Don Jackson. Pump It is Mike Dacey and Joey Dacey. On Edge, boat number 562 is Bill Quinn and Harold Castle. On the 599 is Revelation Racing, Michael Drury and Crystal Drury. And boat number 507 is 777 Powerboats, that's Alexander Cruz and Arthur Cruz.
And then the Class 600 boat that we believe has been moved up into Class 500 is Powerhouse Racing. That is a Baja Outlaw, and it's driven by Nelson Sawyer, and the throttleman is Damon Murata Sr. Now we move down to Class 700. Jackhammer is a local boat. It's Brian Guy and Julian Maldonado. Offshore Omies, Ben Osipian and Joel Morosky. Steel Racing / Velocity is Ricardo Maldonado. And no, he can't do both, so we'll have to get back to you on that. Ella's Nightmare is Dominic Stancomb at the age of 15 driving.
Wow.
Normally his father would be in the boat with him, but he's in Team Woody, so Jeff Mulhausen is throttling that boat. And then GB Motorsports is Robert Bryant and Greg Blutter. They are on the back leg of the course now. It's a, as I like to say, it's a Chamber of Commerce day down here today. Good crowd on the beach, and they'll bring them around. They'll split the 2 groups up. We're going to have 2 starts today. Class 5 will go first because they're the faster class. And then soon after, they'll start Class 7.
And for those of you listening in at home, current temp is right about 87 degrees. And Eric, you needed a shoehorn this morning to get on Lido Beach.
Oh my gosh, I ended up having to go pay some guy to park in his front lawn when I came over here. And that was a good 2 hours before this all came down. Before this, the fans on the beach got to see the fastest boats we're going to have on the course this weekend. The Class 1 boats, which are running, they're 44-foot boats with twin 1,100 horsepower engines, and they do pole position qualifying. So we're waiting to get the results from that, and we'll see who's going to have the inside lane tomorrow when those boats run off. One of those boats did have a problem, unfortunately, the X-Insurance boat, which also had a problem in Cocoa Beach. So they're having a tough start to the year.
Tough break. Let's talk a little bit about one of our media partners, SpeedOnTheWater.com, while we're still going through our parade lap here.
I am down here on a kind of a dual role. I'm going to be working with you again tomorrow for the live stream for Powerboat P1, and then SpeedOnTheWater.com. I will be doing the daily stories for them. They're the leading authority on performance boats and anything that goes fast on the water online, and they also have a digital magazine. And then they do a really beautiful printed single issue every year that you can subscribe to on the website.
Oh, that's awesome.
Makes a great coffee table magazine or book.
That's awesome. Again, for those of you just tuning in, we'd like to welcome everybody out to the P1 Offshore Sarasota Grand Prix. Getting ready to go here. We're going to have a couple different classes combined. The Class 500, 600, and 700 will take off in 2 consecutive starts.
Yeah, this is the 37th annual Offshore Grand Prix here in Sarasota. So this is one of the longest running events in the sport. And if Key West is the granddaddy, if you're talking NASCAR terms,
right,
I would look at Sarasota almost like Talladega if Key West is Daytona.
Right.
It's that vaunted of a course. It's that, people want to win here as badly as they want to win Key West.
Right.
This is a huge race to win.
Well, and I noticed in the pits, we had a lot of boats back there.
I believe we had 52 total entered. And the thing about Sarasota is it's one of those things where if you win this race, you're also positioned very well in the national points, which it's going to be a little tricky this year. A lot of the guys, because unfortunately the cost of fuel aren't towing the longer distances like they normally would. But the one thing that I did see is that the boat that Team Woody had its toughest competition for the national title last year, it's Shoreline Plumbing, I believe. It's a super boat. Mm-hmm. They're not here.
Oh.
Team Woody broke in Cocoa Beach, and I'm pretty sure Shoreline took the win. So if Team Woody can have a good day today in the overall points picture, that makes a big difference.
They can get right back into the points chase.
Yep.
Now, is there more points awarded for this race here than Thunder on Cocoa?
No, they're all the only double points you'll see or anything like that might be the final race of the year and then the final day of Key West. But it looks like we have a start. I did not. They sure look like they're racing to me, and Team Woody is out front in Class 5.
Not wasting any time.
No.
Once again, Team Woody driver J.J. Turk and Michael Stancombe, the throttle man.
Yep, and I know that's a 29 Warlock in second. I can't, but there's a good battle for third. It's tough to pick out the boats right now between the glare on the screen and the glare coming off the water. But there's a really good race for third and fourth. We'll see if we can better identify them when they come back around. Now the boats are kind of spreading out. As you know, it is to be expected. Some of these guys, it's their first time.
Yep.
And they're going to get their seat time, get some experience, and then as the season goes on, you'll see this. You should see it tighten up. But with this bracket class racing, everyone likes to say that if you're passing someone in a straightaway, you're probably going out. You're breaking out of the speeds that you're allowed.
Probably cheating.
And so, if everyone breaks out, it's the guy who breaks out the fewest times who gets the win. So there is a strategy to it. I've talked with some of the guys, and Mike Stancombe is a pretty aggressive driver or throttleman, and he's like, you have to temper yourself. Yeah. When you see that 70 or 75, that's it.
That's it. No more. Off the throttle. It looks like we got a good start here for the Class 600 and 700 race as well.
Yep. Yeah, this is, I believe, our new boat for that might be the Class 6 boat coming by us now. But Class 7 is, that looks like the Velocity, the steel industry's Velocity out front. And the interesting thing about that boat is they're a local team, and the throttleman is Ricky Maldonado, and the Maldonado family is all throttling different boats in the Jackhammer fleet and in the steel racing fleet.
Wow.
And they're all from here in Sarasota, Manatee Marine Unlimited.
Well, I'm sure that they would like to keep the hardware right here in Sarasota County.
But the interesting thing, too, that you see in the Class 7 boats is some of the boats are running the new 300R, and some of the boats are running older. We see Dominic Stancombe and Jeff Milhausen running in, looks like, fourth place right now, but they're within striking distance of third. So that would be pretty impressive to see that 15-year-old kid get on the podium. He's been on the podium before with his dad, so.
That's pretty awesome, the father-son racing team.
Well, that's the great thing about this sport is, there's so many of those through the years.
Right.
I even heard that a pretty famous throttleman from years ago, J.D. D'Elia, who used to race with his father, John, in a boat called Special Edition, bought a 21 Superboat to go Class 7 racing with his son.
Oh.
And so we're going to keep an eye out for that as the season goes on.
Now, here in the Class 500, 599 Revolution Racing, Michael Drury and Crystal Drury, is that a husband-wife?
I believe it is. I believe it is a husband-wife.
Okay.
And then on the Bulletproof Good Cars boat, I took a look at that today because they have Sparco racing seats in an open cockpit boat, and then I took a look inside real quick. They're on they're on suspension systems, so they have suspension seats in that boat.
And I'll tell you, if you've ever watched inside the cockpit, these guys and gals really take a beating.
Yeah, I raced for about 3 years on the West Coast, and this was many years ago, and it was mostly stand-up or sit-down, but open cockpit boats. And it's one of those things where you're looking at the guy next to you, and you're out in the ocean. Why does it look like he's flying so much smoother than we are, and we're just getting the you-know-what kicked out of us?
Right.
But it always looks like you're taking the worst of it. Then you're talking in the pits later, and they're like, "Wow, you guys look really smooth."
Yeah. You know, it's funny. You say that you did some racing out on the West Coast. The last time that I announced a big boat race like this, an offshore race, was at the Laughlin River Days Festival. I don't know if you remember. Nice little boating festival.
I did race one. I did do one race. No, 2 races on Lake Mead.
Okay.
In the early '90s, and it's interesting now because their water levels are down so low out there, but people are getting the wrong impression because there's 2 marinas still open and people are still going boating on Lake Mead.
Yeah, from what I understand, I was just out in Lake Havasu a couple of weeks ago, and they said it was down from 200 feet, which it's normal, to 80 feet.
Yep.
Crazy stuff.
Now it looks like we're going to be. This is the one thing that one of the trickiest things of this job is trying to do the lap counts.
Yeah.
Keep track of that because it's a 6.7 mile course. And when we were in the driver's meeting this morning, I did take a picture of the lap counts. So let me see if I can pull that up. And because the Class 5 boats are running, looks like 6 laps. And so is Class 7 is running 4 laps. So we're going to be coming down to the end of lap 1. And I'm going to see if I can grab the binoculars here so I can, get a look at. We've definitely got Team Woody in first place, and they're in a pretty comfortable lead right now. And second place is, that's the Good Cars Warlock, the bulletproof Good Cars, and third place is Elite. It says Elite. I don't see that. So we'll just have to keep trying to be able to
try to get them the next time around.
Yeah. We had a little bit of a technical glitch when I tried to stand up. My cord for my headset was caught under something, so I couldn't stand up. And I was trying to look through the stairs on the balcony here. So
watch out. He's falling and he can't get up. So Team Woody Racing, your race leader out there, Class 500, 517, bulletproofgoodcars.com, currently running in second. In Class 500, running top speeds of 75 mile per hour.
Yeah, and it's crazy because when you look at a lot of these guys use these as pleasure boats too, and they can go a lot faster. Some of them have some very big motors in them, so they just, they pick the class where they'll be most competitive.
Right.
And, but, especially some of these Class 7 guys, those little super boats and velocities with a 300 horsepower motor, you jack them up, those are 90 mile an hour boats.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Gotta love it. Again, if you're just joining us, we'd like to welcome everybody to the P1 Offshore Sarasota Grand Prix. Mike and Eric up here on the call. We'd like to welcome one of our new sponsors, Celsius, to the P1 Offshore family.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they're sponsoring one of the boats in stock class as well. And here we have probably one of the favorite names of the kids on the beach is Yabba Dabba Doo.
Yep. So Elijah Kingery and Greg Belfato currently running in second to J.J. Turk and Michael Stancombe.
And this 552 is they're a new team, so that's a Hammerheads Fly SRQ, I believe, and they're getting their experience. A lot of times in these in their first races, they just want to finish.
It's a battle of attrition, that's for sure.
And in Class 7, we still have the Steel Velocity in first place, and that is a pretty wrap on that boat if you get to take a look at it in the pits. But second place that looks like it's the Offshore Omies, and they must be some type of electricians because it's OHMIES, and they have a little ohm symbol on the graphic on the boat.
Yeah, Ben Ospian is your driver there. Joel Murkowski is your throttle man. And
third place, oh no, that is This is actually 7 Marine, the Class 5 boat. It's a 28 Pantera, the only outboard powered boat in the class. And look at this race for 3rd and 4th in Class 7.
Yeah, great battle as they work their way right to left down the front straightaway.
Oh, no, this is steel. My mistake. I'm sorry. This is the Steel Velocity. And so it must be Jackhammer up front. And right next to the Steel Velocity is Ella's Nightmare. So they're having a great battle for 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, nice race. TV helicopter right there catching all the great action here from Lido Beach Resort. Great to be here in Sarasota once again. Today's event brought to you by Visit Sarasota. It's sanctioned by the American Powerboat Association and recognized by the UIM.
And when everything wraps up later, I will have a recap article on speedonthewater.com as soon as we get official results.
Fantastic.
Go talk to some of the guys, see how it felt for them.
So now, will these guys do awards tonight, or will they wait till tomorrow with the rest of the classes?
Pretty sure the awards will just be tomorrow. I just will go talk to the officials to make sure, because everything is... no. I got to get my eyes checked. This is Ella's Nightmare. Coming up a little bit off the pace compared to the rest of the Class 7, but Jeff and Dominic haven't raced before, and that is an older Shadow. So they also might not be wanting to beat up the equipment too much. If I was in a friend of mine's boat with his 15-year-old son, I don't know how hard I'd be running either.
Right.
Even though I can be fairly competitive.
I'm just amazed to see a 15-year-old with that much composure out there, with all the experienced drivers out there.
Yeah. And here comes his dad and driver JJ Turk leading Class 5. They've got a comfortable lead now. And that 30-foot Phantom just got a new engine put in it this year.
Nice looking ride.
And second place is still the good cars, that 29 Warlock. And 3rd and 4th is still, okay, number 528 is leading over Pump It. And the Pump It guys have been, I remember them being in this race decades ago in what they called the Amateur Challenge. And they have just, they don't go to a lot of races, but they've been constant presences at this event for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, Mikey Dacey and Joey Dacey.
Oh, that's Hammerhead's Fly SRQ. So then is the other Warlock. So we'll have to double check. Some of these boats are new to me, so I apologize if I haven't gotten everything perfectly right. But
that's right. I always use the disclaimer: everything you hear from us is unofficial. Check the pit board.
It's unofficial, and
You got to remember, for those of you folks that are listening in at home, these boats are approximately 3/4 of a mile away from us as we hang out here on the 14th floor of the Lido Beach Resort.
Yeah, so it does make it a little challenging. That's why we try to walk the pits, the day before or the morning of, just to try to familiarize yourself a little bit with some of the stuff. And if you see something interesting, now that boat, I don't see a number on it.
Yeah, I don't see a number either.
That might be the Farnsworth boat, because we have not talked about that one yet. I believe that's the boat. A little off the pace, but good looking boat. Has a very classic look to it. And that's the one thing about these Class 5 boats. If you like the sound of a good old-fashioned big block V8.
Once again, we're counting down the laps here on this 6.7 mile track. The Sarasota Offshore Grand Prix.
And this is the Baja Outlaw, which has to be one of the most popular models for people who have gotten started, and they made them in 24s and 25s. That's a 1987, I believe, when I checked the serial number today, so that would be a 24 Outlaw.
Wow.
Straight side, flat transom, just classic old school looking V-bottom.
And they're doing a great job staying hooked up as they work their way down the front straightaway.
It'll be interesting to see what the weather forecast for tomorrow, if it's going to bump up at all.
Yeah,
Because-
that's the thing with being in Florida here at this time of year. Normally around 2 or 3 o'clock, you get that storm that runs in.
Yep.
And that happened to us a couple of years ago, and we weren't able to finish. So I know that the promoters have definitely done their best to make sure that don't ever happen again.
And this is boat number 552. So that's,
Maybe 562 on edge.
yes, 562. So that's Bill Quinn and Harold Castle getting their seat time in. I believe that's a Phantom. I saw it in the pits today. Good looking boat. Locally built. The Phantoms are built here in Sarasota by Will Smith. All right, so if this is the 21 Superboat with the 300R, that would be the Jackhammer team.
Jackhammer competing in Class 700.
Yeah, and because that's the American flag that they just rewrapped it with for the, and that's interesting because they're an older superboat, but they have the new 300R, and then behind them is Offshore Omies, and they have what looks to me, whoa, are they getting loose?
Yeah, I was going to
They're
say.
standing that thing up,
They're spending a lot of time out of water.
and you spend time out of the water, that means you're not moving forward.
Yeah, that's right. You're not going anywhere.
So they must have tried to cross over some wakes, or maybe there's a little hole right there in your start-finish that's building up. But that's one of the older boats with, it looks to me like some type of a 3-liter Mercury. So that's the great thing about Class 7 is you don't have to make a huge investment if you don't want, because it's a bracket class.
Right.
And he's keeping up pretty well. He's
So you,
if they don't break out, he's on the podium right now.
yeah, so you only need it to go 60 mile per hour.
Right.
How
The problem is not the problem, but the guys with the bigger, more powerful engines just gear it down, prop it down, and get to 60 miles an hour faster than the other guy.
Right, right.
So it's coming out of turns. It's, there is strategy to it for sure. So third place we have the Steel Velocity with the other one with the new 300R. And fourth place right behind them is looked like 743.
733 possibly, or 742.
Oh, GB Motorsports, yep. Yeah, because Offshore Omies is the second place boat. And Team Woody is coming by again. Look like they've opened up their lead a little bit. Good Car is still in second. And the some of the graphics just get harder to see. But the running order has pretty much remained the same in Class 5.
Team Woody out in front. BulletproofGoodCars.com currently sitting in second. As your race leaders head down to the south end of the track, looks like there's a big flotilla building up out there on the outside of the track. Everybody here in Sarasota always excited about the Sarasota Offshore Grand Prix.
Yeah, good spectator fleet at the south end of the course. Years ago, this course I think was about twice the length that it is now. Mm-hmm. And people, the best way they described it was it was shaped like a submarine, and it had dog legs in it.
Right.
So it made the navigation a little more challenging. And I remember being on the pits in the pits at the Sarasota Hyatt when they called "Start your engines," and 100 boats fired off.
Oh, wow.
And that was just, the feeling was amazing.
Yeah, the adrenaline gets pumping, especially when you hear 100 of them fire up at once.
Yep. And here we have Ella's Nightmare, which, if you're wondering about the name, if I'm not mistaken, Ella is Dominic's grandmother. So his father, who, if you know Michael Stancombe, is a little bit sarcastic, came up with the name.
Ella's Nightmare. That's because Ella was probably financing all the boat stuff, right?
But you couldn't ask for a better way to kind of whet the fans' appetites than the weather we have today. It's a little warm, a little humid, but it's Sarasota in July.
Right.
I don't think anyone's surprised by it.
It's not storming.
Yes.
And I'm knocking on wood as I say that.
Yeah, and the nice thing is you look north and south, it doesn't look like it wants to either.
No, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty clean. And after this race here, after this combined 500, 600, 700 race, we'll go back to P1 Aquacross, where we'll have our pros coming out first, and I believe our amateurs will round out the day for us.
And if I can find him, I'm going to head back over to the pits and see if I can get some time with Mr. Travis Pastrana for a future feature for Speed on the Water, as well as some comments for tomorrow's wrap-up story. See how he's liking things so far in the Husky Chocolate Boat.
Yeah, it's great to have Travis here. It really lends a lot of credibility to the event. I mean, I've known Travis for nearly 20 years. I was announcing Gravity Games the first time, because of his first couple of years, he never lost a freestyle event.
Right.
He went from 2 wheels to keels, and we were up at Cleveland Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and that was the first time that he lost. Nate Adams had beat him because he had crashed on a backflip.
Oh. Well, I hope that doesn't portend. I hope your presence doesn't portend any luck like that for him for tomorrow. But
no.
I'm sure he's won plenty of things since.
Oh, he certainly has. I think the funniest moment I had with Travis Pastrana, we was racing the Daytona Supercross, and he came over the finish line and did a backflip, and Team Suzuki went haywire.
Oh. Well, he's also throttling a smaller boat tomorrow.
Oh, is he?
In one of the single-engine V-bottom. It's either a Mod V or a Stock V. I can't remember which one right now, but so he'll be in the Twisted T Pit Viper boat on the throttles.
Oh, nice.
And there are a lot of guys in this sport. Some well-known. Grant Bruggeman, who races the Pro Floors boat, started. Billy Moore, Grant Bruggeman. They've all had motocross. Jay Muller,
yep.
All the guys in the Supercats. They have experience, and they ride motocross still, and it helps them with the timing, just like it helps with the timing in the waves when they are on the whoops.
Sure.
Same type of thing, on off to keep it flying level.
Well, that's the thing that's different about boat racing as compared to motocross, is that here you have an ever-changing track.
Right.
When you come around a motocross track, you try to stay in the same ruts and keep your same pattern. Whereas here, it's ever-changing.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a pattern here, hardly. And about the only thing you can, if you get into a more of a ocean swell kind of thing, you can kind of, as long as everything's moving in the same direction, right, you can kind of develop how you're going to trim the boat and how you're going to throttle it. But here we have the Class 7 leaders are still Jackhammer, and they are crossing start-finish, and they have the white flag. So there's one more lap to go in Class 7, and Offshore Omis are still in second place. Let's see if they give the white flag to Team Woody, who is still leading Class 5. And the two Warlocks are basically tie a rope between them for second and third.
It looks like they put that white flag away for Team Woody, so they've got a couple more laps to go.
5:28.
That's Hammerheads Fly SRQ.
Yep, Hammerheads Fly SRQ and good cars, bulletproof good cars, right?
Yep.
They are deck to deck for second place. So as long as Woody didn't break out, which they've been together now for, I think this is their third season, at least their second season in the boat. So I don't think I would expect them to, because they've been doing this a long time, but you never know.
Well, that was a great drag race down the front straightaway.
Yeah, it was, and it's funny. You got two California-built boats. The Warlocks were built in California, and they don't have the dead rise that a lot of the traditional offshore boats have. They're a shallower dead rise, but they were so popular in the old Factory 1 class, which was all Mercury HP 500s, that people have just kept them as race boats and put different engines in them. And now here we are, Class 7. This is Steele running in third with GB Motorsports right there on their tail in fourth. So anyone makes a mistake, the last position for the podium is up for grabs there.
JB Motorsports trying to take that inside line.
Yep. And that's another brand new Velocity with the 300R versus an older, could be a Superboat. Looks like that style. Hard to tell from here, but does not have the brand new Mercury engine on it. So a couple of guys on a budget, but they can still get out and race. And there goes 7 Marine, still running in their twin outboard powered 28 Pantera. That's either a brother or father-son team, or, well, they have the same last name, so
right.
I don't know the familial breakdown, but
that battle going on for second and third place, the Class 500, that's given Team Woody a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, anytime you get two competitors challenging each other, it lets you kind of pull out, run your own race, and that's the thing is, I mean, Michael Stancombe, I've lost count of how many years he's been doing this.
Right.
So he's a seasoned veteran on the throttles. And it's interesting because for many years he raced with his father.
Right.
And now he gets to race with his son. So, and his father is here in the pits this weekend. So 3 generations of Stancombe, if you'd like to go meet him, either at the JBS tent or at the Ella's Nightmare. They're right near each other. And I also saw it was good to see Peter Ledden, the founder of Skater Powerboats, Douglas Marine built Skater Powerboats. He's here this weekend.
Wow, all the VIPs are down there in the pits this weekend.
Stuart Halley from Mercury Racing is here. Mike DeAnnabelle from Sterling is here to support MCON and WHM. So yeah, Sarasota draws, and plus it's a holiday weekend, so
yeah.
But it draws a lot of the sport's well-known names.
Now, is that somebody getting towed in over here on the right-hand side?
Looks like Yabba Dabba Doo is under tow. So
tough break for Larry
yep.
and JD.
So they've had better days, but nice thing about racing on a Saturday is you can enjoy yourself Saturday night.
There you go.
Don't have to worry about.
Now, do you know anything? Are they doing a street party tonight?
They did a street party last night. I'm not sure what is on the schedule tonight for. Okay, Ella's Nightmare just took the white flag, so they've got one more lap. It'll just be good to see Dominic get another finish, and maybe if a couple guys break out, he sneaks onto the last spot on the podium. You never know.
Now, do we know who Ella's Nightmare throttle man is?
Jeff Mulhausen.
Jeff Mulhausen.
And he has.
Didn't have that on my sheet.
I know his name from this. He's run other boats. He's been in the sport.
So again, after the show today, you can go to speedonthewater.com, one of our media partners, and
it'll be a couple hours.
Couple hours.
I want to go talk to the guys in the pits and get some comments, but we'll get something up later today for sure.
Well, it's probably going to take you a couple hours to get over to the pits after today, judging by the amount of people here on Lido Beach.
Yeah, that's the one thing with these with this race is, it is a little spread out, but the town just welcomes it so much that, it does kind of take it over. And here we have what should be your winner coming up to the checkered flag in a Sarasota-built Phantom, Team Woody, Mike Stancombe and J.J. Turk. And there is your checkered flag. They should be pulling into the center of the course.
I believe that might be the white flag for Class 500.
Oh, that's right. Because they pulled it back in.
Yeah.
When, okay. They got one more to go. Now this is when they start hearing everything.
Yeah.
Right? that last lap? Or is it the last half of the last lap on a 6-mile course or
right.
6.5-mile course?
This is where the gremlins set in. Is that what you're saying?
Well, this is where the gremlins set it up here in your head.
Right.
What was that?
Well, you not only got to be physically prepared, but you got to be mentally prepared to get out there as well.
Yep. All right, so this should be then the checkered flag for Jackhammer. And these guys have been on a roll. They had to re-rig this boat which is an older superboat after they tore the bottom out of their 22 Velocity that they had been racing.
Oh, wow.
And, yep, that was the checkered flag. They have pulled in. So unofficially, Jackhammer, which is Brian Guy and Julian Maldonado in first, followed by Offshore Omies, Ben Osipian, and Joel Morosky. So nicely done, guys. And now we'll see what that third place battle looks like.
Those were your top two in Class 700. Again, only 4 laps here in the 700 or Class 700 class. That's 6.7 mile track.
And so this would be Steel and GB Racing coming toward us, and they look like they are deck to deck.
And this is your battle for that final podium spot.
So this is where, in a bracket class, it gets interesting, because who's going to be right up at 60 but not break out?
Right.
Because this is where you have to have like the most patience and the most discipline to not just, we just inch it a little more. So the inside lane is the shortest way around the track, so Steel should have the advantage here, but they're taking it tight to the buoy line, and they do have a slight edge right now.
Yeah, they definitely weren't leaving the door open there.
No. But they're about, what do you think, a boat length? Maybe a boat length and a half ahead.
Right.
So this should get them third place.
Oh, wow. And that gap was starting to close, too, so they're going to get there just in time.
So that means 2 Maldonados on the podium for Class 700, throttling Jackhammer and Steel.
The Offshore Omies clinching that second place.
Yep. See, they're just... Okay, they just went to the southern buoy and turned in at the first buoy to turn 1 rather than right at the start-finish line. So that's their choice. And this is the Farnsworth boat. Still running well. Looks like it's a pretty comfortable day out there for the bigger boats. The Class 7 boat still took some bouncing when Offshore Omies was banging around there. There is another boat, I believe I think it's a 700 boat. Might be but it's called Hanging and Banging. So it's a smaller boat, and it's aptly named, let's put it that way.
Well, not too much banging going out there today, as the water conditions really favoring the boat drivers.
Well, it looks to me like they're starting to get ready for your next event.
Yeah, we've got P1 Aquacross. We've got the pro class coming up next, and then we've got the amateur class to finish out the day. 30 minutes plus a lap. 25 racers in each class.
And they're starting to set buoys for that. Is that what that buoy is going out for?
Yep. Yeah,
25.
That's actually a chicane in the middle of the back straightaway. That's what
that
yellow buoy will be.
So 25 boats in a class.
Yeah.
Man.
We've had as many as 50 in one class.
Years ago, when I think 3 different sanctioning bodies all participated at the Key West World Championships. It was APBA, U.S. Offshore, and SBI. And I was running in what was then called A class in a 29 Warlock, because this is when I lived in California, and we went and competed down in Key West. I think there were 29 boats in the class.
Wow. That's a lot of boats.
All right, Class 5. Here comes your leader, Team Woody. And this should be the checkered flag. Boat looks good. Just running perfectly level for these conditions. I don't think you could be more comfortable right there than the way they look.
Right. And a good battle for second place coming off that final turn.
Yeah, it looks like...
Is that bulletproofgoodcars.com?
Bulletproof's in third. And Hammerheads Fly SRQ looks like they grabbed second. Did you see a flag? because they're still going. I thought they waived it.
Well, when you're in the heat of the competition sometimes.
Well, the thing is the way they, with all the modern technology, the way you count laps in an offshore boat is you rip off a piece of duct tape, you fold over the end, and you tape 5 tapes to the dash panel. And you're supposed to pull one off every time you finish a lap.
Right.
But if someone forgot to pull a tape, or, you do an extra lap.
You do an extra lap, burn some more fuel. That's why we're here.
Okay, well, the second place boat in Class 5 has pulled off, so they think they're done. The Hammerheads, they feel like they completed the number of laps correctly. Now, years ago, they used to have 3 people in a boat with a navigator.
Wow.
When the courses were longer, and the navigator was watching the compass and following along a chart and timing between checkpoints because they went way out in the ocean.
Right. Checking your splits.
Yeah. Well, Don Johnson and his Team USA catamaran, 50-foot, 4-engine boat. Kurt Russell was the navigator.
Oh.
His only job was to count laps.
Mm-hmm.
He missed one.
Oh, jeez. That's some Miami Vice stuff there.
Yeah, I don't think Don was too happy about that one. But that boat, 4 1,000 horsepower engines, and it was one of those boats that that class always had so much attrition. But man, when it was right, that thing flew. It was amazing to watch. Yeah, it looks to me like Team Woody is not leaving anything to chance. They're gonna complete a lap.
Complete another lap, yep.
And then that means Good Cars is going to do the same because they're not going to risk it either.
Both of them up there on the top right-hand side of the track as we view it here from the Lido Beach Resort. That would be the north side of the course for all of you listening in at home.
Well, either that or Michael's trying to catch up and see if he can cross the line with Dominic in 2 different boats and make it look like the end of Ford versus Ferrari. But this was a good first race. The nice thing to see is, even though some of these are older boats,
right,
they must be preparing them a lot better because the attrition's not what it used to be. I mean,
well,
knock wood.
As a promoter, all I like to say is I just like to see everybody finish.
Okay. Yeah, we like to see everyone finish. Anything that we have said as far as results are unofficial.
Yep.
Especially with the boats in the bracket classes because they actually have GPSs that they turn in.
Yeah,
so
they can be checked, sure.
Yep. But we're going
welcome to what proved to be yet another action-packed weekend on Florida's Space Coast, as the 2022 edition of the legendary Thunder on Cocoa Beach was raced in a multitude of classes, including the return of the UIM Class 1 World Powerboat Championship, and of course the mighty Supercat and Superstock divisions, as 58 teams competed in the first round of the APBA National Championship. Thunder on Cocoa Beach was raced in all classes on a 7.5-mile circuit that runs the length of Cocoa Beach, as crowds got to see the boats and action up close in what is considered the perfect venue for powerboat spectating. Cocoa Beach has a vibrant bar and restaurant scene, glorious sunshine, miles of sandy beaches, and of course stunning ocean views, as fans crowded the streets and enjoyed the traditional boat parade. The Thunder on Cocoa Beach event is not just about the racing, but a celebration of the powerboating way of life, as teams, families and spectators joined in the fun with street parties and concerts. The busy race day kicked off with the bracket classes racing in monohulls. Bracket Class 600 went to driver Michael McColgan, and on throttle, Francis Feluto Jr. in Rum Runner. Bracket Class 700 went to Brian Guy and Julian Maldonado in Jackhammer. The win in Bracket Class 500 went to Robert and Vincent Winowski in Bronx Phantom. Winners in the Bracket Class 400 were Dean Staleman and Nate Hunt in the Predator Staleman Motorsports boat. Bracket Class 300 went to Jimmy Jensen and Clyde Petty in the Rollin' Dirty Offshore Elite Home Game Rooms boat. The winning boat in Stock V was LSB Hurricane of Awesomeness Rev X Oil, driven by Britt Lilly with Kevin Smith on throttle. Mod V went the way of Team Sunprint with Stephen Fairman and Steve Miklos in the boat. This year introduces the 4-stroke 300R Mercury racing engine to the existing 2-stroke 300 XSs. This super competitive class features 28 to 32 foot catamarans with fully enclosed race canopies, and this year introduces the 4-stroke 300R Mercury racing engine to the existing 2-stroke 300 XSs. There were 11 teams and 22 drivers and throttlemen racing at Cocoa Beach, with some experienced champions past and also some new faces in the mix. Last year's overall Superstock runner-up S1 CMR Racing is back on a brand new boat, with last year's champion Sean Torrente racing alongside teammate Sean Connor.
And we're at Cocoa Beach, first race of the season, first step in defending our national championship from last year, and we have a completely new Doug Wright 32 that we got about 3 weeks ago. Brand new 300Rs from Mercury Racing, which we're really excited about. 4-strokes have arrived in offshore, which is awesome, just like overseas. So for the last few years, we ran the 300 XS, which is a direct injected 2-stroke engine. Now what we have is a V8 4-stroke. It's a 4.6 liter, it has a lot more torque. And more than that, it's definitely a more reliable power head. And we're just really excited to get out there and race. It's a rough water race, and it's going to be challenging, and it's going to be a war of attrition to a point, and also managing the equipment to make sure you make it to the end.
Last year's championship winning boat is this year racing as the number 14 Atlas Offshore Racing, with driver Tanner.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sarasota Offshore Grand Prix for the SBT P1 Aquacross Race to the Bahamas, race number 2. I'm joined by Brian O'Rourke up here on the 14th floor of the Lido Beach Resort. Brian, how you doing, bud?
Wonderful. What a great day and a great view we've got for this race coming up here, Mike.
Now, from what I understand, these were supposed to be separated races. There's 25 in the amateur class, there's 25 in the pro class, and they're going to start them in 2 waves. So we're going to have 50 people out there on the track at once. This is going to get exciting.
This is going to be the staggered start for race number 2. And yeah, Mike, I expect that these pro guys are going to be coming up on these amateur guys pretty quick in the race itself.
Well, let's go back. Obviously, we weren't online this morning, so we'll go back and for those of you who missed the first race, we'll go through some placements for you. Arminio Iantosca ended up taking the win on that. He just edged out Tori Snyder, and Snyder was only about 2 seconds behind him. So after 30 minutes to be that close, made for a very exciting race. And then you had the king, Dustin Farthing, up there in the 3rd spot. And I believe it was James Wilson, Broward Motorsports. He was up there in 4th. And Greg Radulski, his best finish as a pro, he moved up from the amateur ranks just last year. He finished in 5th place. So Radulski doing a great job here at the Sarasota Offshore Grand Prix.
I was impressed with Dustin Farthing, of course. How can you not be? But he got worried a little bit by Jimmy Wilson. And they used a lapper to kind of get close to each other, and all of a sudden, Dustin Farthing just pulled away. He lit a fire under him, and Wilson had nothing for him. I talked to Wilson in the pits earlier, and he said, "Yeah, I was all expecting to pass Dustin Farthing, and he's pretty impressed with himself, by the way,
right?
As he should be. But Dustin kicked it up a bit and was able to take that 3rd spot."
Yeah, great job there by him. Devin Farthing also racing, so your father and a son out here both racing in the pro class.
Yeah, 2 father and son teams out there. Tori and Troy Snyder, father and son team, also racing the pro class.
Yeah, should be interesting. In the amateur ranks, a little bit earlier today, we've seen boat number 91, Joe Johnson, took the win, and he looked very impressive. He won by a commanding lead.
He was solid, Mike, and I can't see anybody really have anything for him after this.
Yeah, the 1, 2, 3 of Eric Diaz came through in 2nd, and then Seth Nema on the Sea-Doo RXPX 300, boat number 215, ended up in 3rd place. Jason Wilson in 4th, and Tim Hickman rounding out your top 5 in race number 1 in the amateur class. Now, in the amateur Aquacross 200 class, it was none other than little Sammy Niemi. He ain't little anymore.
He ain't little. And he's strong.
And
he's riding that boat really well for the Broward Motorsports team.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the juniors did not run this morning. So we'll try to keep you up to date with everything that we're finding out here from race control.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to mention, too, you see Valentina Lescano's name on that list in the amateur class, and unfortunately she took a pretty hard digger and had to go make a trip to the hospital. We just hope and pray she's okay.
Yeah, we got our fingers crossed for young Valentina, and I'll tell you what, she gives the men fits. She was a winner of the first moto in Kissimmee just a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, she got disqualified.
Oh.
But she did put the smack down on the boys.
Yeah, she's no slouch, that's for sure. And her boyfriend, Chris Landis, racing for Riva Racing, went to go see her in the hospital. I'm wondering if he's going to make it to the line as well on this pro race.
Well, we'll take a look. We'll take a look as we get ready to start. We're going to again start in 2 waves. Again, the pros will be up front, and the amateurs will be in back. And it looks like our marshals are taking their positions, so it's just about go time here from the Lido Beach Resort.
Yeah, and these guys are pretty far away from where we are, so we'll try to get the numbers of these boats. But I'll just tell you, from the first race, we had a little bit of a hard time seeing those numbers, Mike.
Yeah, we're about, for those of you listening in, we're probably about 3/4 of a mile away from our checkered flag out there, or our checkered buoy out there. But, yeah, we knew that it was Ian Tosca and Tori Snyder. Them two kind of left the pack early. And in a great battle for third and fourth between Farthing and Jimmy Wilson, both of them sponsored by Broward Motorsports, they put on quite the show for us in the first race as well.
They did, and I actually thought that Torrey was almost kind of laying back there at first. Towards the end of the race, we kind of saw he looked like he wasn't charging as hard, and you kept thinking that, man, any minute now he is going to make the move, and he was just kind of waiting and biding his time. But Ian Tosca able to take the win.
You know what we used to do at our races, what I think would be really cool here at Aquacross too, is have an equalizer buoy that they have to go out and they have to pick it up. Because what I like about that is it creates a lot of lead changes.
Right.
You know, and you have to actually strategize when you're going to take that when you're going to take that buoy.
Yeah, some organizations call it a joker buoy, where you are mandated to take it anytime during the race that you want, but you do have to take it at least once.
It ain't no joke, folks.
But we're not doing that here.
No.
There is a penalty buoy, the green tetrahedron, as they call it, is in the event that a rider misses a buoy or straight lines a buoy or has some sort of on-course faux pas, as you would say, they get to go to take a trip on the next lap to the penalty buoy and make that up.
I was going to say that's located on the bottom left-hand side of the track as we view it up here. The furthest buoy south from the Lido Beach Resort.
I think they're just about ready, Mike. They are, I see the course marshals starting to move slowly.
You got 50 riders out there, and you know it's like herding cats.
That's right. What a beautiful day, Mike, to come racing. And I just got to think what a special day for all these riders to come. We had a moment with Eric Francis passing last weekend, and we gave a little tribute to him. And everybody now.
Welcome back to Sarasota as we get ready to go live, and it looks like our start is off and away. And we'll try to pick some numbers out for you before they come all the way over here on the near side. Currently on the far side, approximately.
Looks like Troy Snyder got a great jump on the outside on that green boat, and Ian Tosca on the inside is about to cut him off.
Ian Tosca looking for another hole shot today. Went wire to wire on that last race. For those of you that weren't that are at home and missed out on the stream this morning.
Yeah, Troy Snyder railing the outside right alongside Ian Tosca. And Ian Tosca pushes him wide around that large buoy.
Sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties. We're sitting in rocking chairs and our mic wires are getting caught underneath them. Well, here we go as we get ready to come down the front straightaway for the first time here in race number 2.
Yep.
We'll see if we can't get the rundown for you. There's a red flag. Red flag coming from the scoring boat, and that's a tough break for those two riders right there, Ian Tosca.
Yeah, you know Troy's going to be upset because, man, I don't know how he finished exactly on that first race, but he was quite a bit back, and so to get that kind of start from the outside, I wonder if he's going to get if it was him that got the red flag. I'm not sure about that.
I'll see on my phone here what place he took on that that first race. He was down there. He was probably right around 13th, 14th, 15th. Yeah, actually, right over here. He was actually 19th.
Wow. So, yeah, he's not going to be too happy if that has to be totally brought back. How do they do this now, Mike? Do they reline them up and go again from the lineup?
Yep.
Okay, so red flag start, and the marshals are trying to herd them cats out there.
Well, luckily they put the amateur class with the pro class because of time constraints, and obviously we're in Central Florida, and we're probably looking at a storm in about an hour or so here. Chopper's back up in the air as we take them back to the starting line, and we'll get rebooted here in just a couple of moments.
And I'm not sure if I think the course marshals are adjusting that A7 buoy out there on after the big buoy that they were coming around on the start. I think maybe that might have been it. Man, there are some swimmers, I mean, honestly, not very far away from that course there. Maybe that's what caused the red flag. I'm not sure on that. But.
Well, I think here in Sarasota, you notice little cigarette buoys out there, and I think that's everything inside that is all a swim zone.
Well, that's interesting because there's a couple of red buoys inside that.
It's right, yeah. It's probably right even with it, and
yeah.
I know that they're staying back right here and behaving themselves. But what a huge crowd that we have here at the Sarasota Offshore Grand Prix. You're listening to the SBT P1 Aquacross live broadcast with Brian O'Rourke and yours truly,
Mike Young. So now we'll re-rack and restack, as they say, and get these guys ready to do another start.
And it's so tough too, I mean, because you've got your amateurs out there, you got your pros out there. Now you got to get them all back in the right lineup.
And I don't even think the amateur. I'm looking at a bunch of skis that were still in the same spot they were. I don't even think the amateurs got a chance to go yet. Would they pull them basically in this, right behind the pros as they start, or will they allow the pros to get on the course and then start them?
Well, I think what they'll do is they'll start the pros first. And that's just what I've seen typically here with P1 Aquacross. Because you don't want to put the pros behind the amateurs, because then they can catch up to the amateurs real quick. Yeah.
So at what point will they allow the amateurs to go? After the pros have done a lap or so? Or?
Well, they'll give them like a 10-second head start.
Oh, okay, 10
like
seconds.
normally when your first rider gets down to the far southern buoy, then they'll take off.
Okay, yeah, that's a good.
So they try to keep them split up as much as possible. And you got to remember also, we've got some amateurs in 200 boats out there too. So
right.
They're going to get passed right away.
And the 200 boats are 200 horsepower. The 300 boats are 300 horsepower.
Yep.
And then is there a limit of horsepower on the pro boats?
No, they just have to be a stock boat. Have to have stock numbers. Can't have aftermarket props or anything like that. And that's something that they're very serious about, and they do check in technical inspection immediately following each race.
Right. So the pros are not allowed. They're only allowed handling and ECU tunes.
That's it.
And they have to run stock props.
Stock
Now,
props.
are they able to tune those props?
That's a good question. That's a Jeremiah question. I don't know if they're allowed to bend them or not. I don't believe that they are.
So
they have to remain stock, and the numbers have to match.
That is interesting, because usually if you do an ECU tune to get more horsepower or to get different mapping and timing, it affects how the prop reacts. So you would think they might be allowed to tweak them a little bit as long as they're stock, but we'd have to defer to the rule committee for that.
Yeah, Jeremiah, who is our technical inspector here with P1 Aquacross.
Let's get him on the phone, Mike.
Right now, speed dial.
While we're waiting for the start of this next race.
Well, looks like we've got our scoring boat back in position, so that's a good sign. And unfortunately, I don't know, it looks like somebody's possibly getting towed in over here. And that's not good for your first start.
Now I see two guys just out here not lined up. It's number 127, and that might be Logopoulos, that orange seat. I don't know if that's him or not. I can't see his number, but I saw an orange seat ski on the double trailer with Logopoulos earlier today in the pits, and I don't know if that's him or not. As soon as they turn sideways, I'll be able to tell. Can't tell. So far away. But I'm wondering why they haven't moved. They're in the course.
I would expect the marshals to go and say something to him.
Looks like 157 or 167. His number's 357, isn't it?
361.
Oh, that may be Logopoulos. That may be 361.
Orange helmet.
Man, cannot tell. And then here's another rider, 77. Then that's Russo, isn't it?
That's Russo, yeah.
Is he on a Cowie?
Yes, he is.
Okay, so those three guys are just hanging out there.
Looks like we're starting the race.
Oh, wow, that is Eric. So Logopoulos, Russo's taking his helmet off and pulling his seat. So, yeah, unfortunately, those three guys, number 127, Eric Logopoulos and Jason Russo, are not going to make this start, unfortunately.
And Logopoulos just kind of cruising over here, I believe, on the left side.
Yeah. And it looks like Erminio Iantasca has got another great start. And Troy Snyder in second right now.
That's a huge tribute to Dean's team.
That's right. I know Troy and Snyder built Tim Judge Motorsports, also contributing to that team.
Riva Racing also helping out Iantasca.
Yep.
Dave Bamdis and company going the distance.
So it looks like they pick up right where they left off on that first start, Mike, and only this time, instead of Iantasca having Troy Snyder railing right beside him, Iantasca all alone out front, Troy Snyder in second.
You know, you got to wonder if they're going to adjust the time for that false start. Because
Right.
remember, they talked a little bit about that at the riders' briefing yesterday.
That's right.
That if we had a bunch of false starts, that they were actually going to shave some time off. Now, this is supposed to be 30 minutes plus a lap, and we haven't got any official word yet, folks.
It looks like Tori Snyder in third,
Second
right
wave.
behind his dad.
Iantasca out in front.
That is Tori Snyder. Tori Snyder about to pass his dad right here on the front straight, coming around this turn. And Troy looks over and goes, "Go for it, son."
Yeah, he just lets him go by. Now, that's not the old Troy Snyder that I know.
No.
So you can see now the amateurs taking off from across the way.
Looks like Jimmy Wilson in third now.
Wilson had a good first race, finished in the top 5, finished 4th place.
Looks like maybe Dustin Farthing, I think. Man, it's so hard to tell, Mike. I'm sorry to call these numbers. Nothing is official from us, but it does look like Farthing in 5th.
Wait till the pros catch up to the amateurs. You want to talk about chaos?
Yeah, and they're not that far behind, Mike. I
No.
mean, the amateurs are literally right in front of these guys as they come around the chicane. The amateurs are just now coming around their first start. I'll see if I can't get a number on the amateur class.
You had somebody pull off into the middle here right in front of us.
Yeah. And the water got rough for those amateurs. They're bouncing all over the place right now.
Yeah, conditions starting to change a little bit here. You can see starting to get a little bit more cloudy.
Oh, my gosh. That was close. This guy was – oh, somebody's making a mistake on the course. I believe it's that first boat just straight-lined to the red buoy, and he did not take the yellow buoy. So we'll see, and that's theoretically your first place in the amateur class. And, man, when he cut through there, he about got hit by your second-place rider who now inherited the lead. So your first place looks like 123, Mike.
123.
Yep.
That is Eric Diaz.
And then 3:15 or 9:15.
Could be 2:15. Seth Nima.
Seth Nima is now your leader, and at this, well, I mean, he's in second. But if your leader does not take the makeup buoy, then he'll inherit the lead. And man, Mike, I already see pros mixed in with the amateurs by a long way too. I mean, I'm talking. Wow, there are a lot of
There's a lot of boats out there.
A lot of boats out there, and they are in different classes. So where the leader is for the pros, I'm hoping the TV crew has got that for us.
Yeah, 50 boats. We got 3 classes out there, our amateur 200, amateur 300, and our pro 300. I'm looking out there. Ian Tosca has a pretty distinctive riding style.
Yes, he does.
But I know he's mixed in with all those racers on the back straight right now.
I'm going to try to pick him out, Mike, if I can find him.
Red wetsuit.
So, yeah, I see him. He is, wow. Torrey Snyder's just making a move out of me at that chicane, Mike.
Yep, I see him.
Torrey Snyder and Ian Tosca are going at it hard, and it looks like Torrey is side by side with Ian Tosca on that back stretch. And Ian Tosca has to get out of the dirty water, and that gives the lead to Torrey Snyder.
So a nice pass there by the young gun, Torrey Snyder, who came out of the first lap in 3rd place, now finds himself in 1st. Look at this pass.
Nobody's looking at the screen.
I know, we're trying to watch the race.
Well, Torrey Snyder takes the lead, and Ian Tosca unfortunately got wallowed up with 2 amateur guys in their whitewash, and of course you know how that affects the ski and its handling and its performance. So that gave Torrey the open door, and here comes Torrey now going around that yellow pylon onto the front straight.
Torrey starting to stretch out that lead once he was able to get past Ian Tosca.
Yeah, let me tell you, Mike, you give Torrey Snyder a lead, it's all but over unless something happens. And here he comes across the finish line right now, Torrey Snyder. Look at Ian Tosca on the outside, though. Ian Tosca found some clean water, and now he's sweeping the outside, and he's got a lapper in front of him, or an amateur guy in front of him. Does he cut him off?
And boom, just like that, Snyder back in the lead. Ian Tosca back into 2nd.
Ian Tosca's not giving up easy, Mike.
Wilson in 3rd. Looks like Farthing in 4th.
And look how fast Torrey Snyder's going through this pack of amateurs in front of him. The boat is so much faster. You could see he's just in race aggro mode.
Torrey Snyder picking up his first win at P1 Aquacross, the beginning of last season in Daytona Beach, and we're going to be back in Daytona just here in a couple months. If you'd like to check the schedule for P1 Aquacross, you can go to p1aquax.com.
Man, and Torrey Snyder, once he got on that backstretch, and he's got a couple of amateurs right in front of him to contend with as far as the wash. Oh, and he goes right between them, Mike.
Wow, that was one heck of a pass. Looks like Ian Tosca is going to use a different route.
Yeah.
He's coming to the outside.
Trying to find that clean water, and it's paying off because Torrey had quite a gap there when he had clean water, and he got into the back of those amateur guys, and all of a sudden gives Ian Tosca a minute to catch up.
Well, that's how quick stuff can change here at P1 Aquacross.
Jimmy Wilson.
So I see a bunch of riders that are actually hanging out back behind the scoring boat. I'm wondering if those are all breakdowns.
They must be, Mike, because like I said, those were some of the guys that were out there at the beginning, Russo and Ligopoulos and some of the other guys that were out, and they didn't even get to take the start. So here comes Torrey around that yellow pylon right before the start or the finish line.
It looks like DNR is telling the people they need to get back a little bit. The swimmers out there, probably pretty smart. You got racers out there, 50 racers on the track going 90+ mile an hour.
And here comes your leaders right now, Mike. Torrey Snyder still in the lead. Ian Tosca right behind him, and Ian Tosca's not going anywhere.
Yeah, you got a back marker right in front of him, though. Let's see if it slows him down. Snyder.
Back marker seems to go wide, might know that they're behind him, and that was good sportsmanship on his part.
So now you got a back marker in between second and third place right now. Third place, I believe, is still
Jimmy Wilson.
Jimmy Wilson.
And who's that? Dustin Farthing in fourth? Yep.
I believe that's Farthing in fourth. They're just basically switching positions from that first race. And you can see some of these Pro 300s against these amateur 200s just going right through them.
Now, Mike, is that Ian Tosca in second, or is that Jimmy Wilson in second? I can't tell, but I have it as Ian Tosca, but the timing and scoring shows Jimmy Wilson. I know everything's unofficial up here. I'm going to try to verify that next time they come across. I might have been calling that wrong. Timing and scoring shows Wilson in second and Itasca in third. We had those two flipped, and we'll verify that as they come across on this front straight again.
So who do we got here for our top 10 so far?
So we got Snyder, Torrey Snyder in first. According to timing scoring, Wilson, number 300, in second. Ian Tosca in third. Farthing, Dustin Farthing in fourth. His son, Devin Farthing, in fifth. Baldwin, Bouchard, Reddick, and Landis, which I'm glad to see Landis out there if he actually made the start.
And you can tell just how tough aquacross is, as we've got about 6 or 7 riders that are already that broke down, that are hanging out by the official boat.
The attrition rate is extreme here, and I'm going to try to get a number on this. Second place. That is Wilson.
That is Wilson.
Second place is Wilson. My apologies. I've been calling it Ian Tosca the whole time. Ian Tosca is in third. There's the number 1 boat coming across in third, followed closely by Dustin King D. Farthing.
Farthing starting to close that gap on Ian Tosca, as Ian Tosca's got a lapped rider in between he and second place. Whoa, when the lapped rider slowed him down, Dustin right there on his tail.
So important to get that clean water when you're going as fast as these guys are going. Those pumps really like to hook up in the fresh, clean water, and you get behind somebody, Mike, and the boat goes backwards almost, it seems like.
A great race going on here today. This will be, I believe, our final race of the day, and we'll be back tomorrow morning bright and early. We invite everybody to join us for the call for our third race tomorrow, and then we'll be doing a lot of powerboat racing.
How about Jimmy Wilson, Mike? Coming off a stand-up a season ago, gets the nod from Broward Motorsports when D-Mac broke his legs.
Yep, well, down Daytona Beach, yep.
Last year, and he has answered the call. Never raced a runabout, and he's contending for the win right now against arguably one of the best new riders in the country and maybe even in the world. He won the world championship, Torrey
Right.
Snyder.
Uh-huh.
They're coming around this yellow buoy, getting ready to come on the front start, and the green flag is flying, so that's halfway.
Halfway, 15 minutes down, 15 minutes to go here in the pro class, and the amateur class, I should say.
That's right. And unfortunately, we just lost track of the amateurs. We just don't know who's in the lead anymore. It just got so jumbled up out there that we really can't call it. But we know who's in the lead in this pro race, and that is Torrey Snyder, and Torrey's starting to put a gap on him now.
Yeah, Torrey, once he gets ahead, he's hard to catch.
Uh-oh. I thought that was Ian Tosca coming across the finish line slow, but it's not. But Ian Tosca quite a ways back from the two leaders, and Dustin Farthing still in fourth, right behind Ian Tosca. And there's Troy Snyder. I'm assuming he's might even be a lap
You
down.
never
at this
told
point.
me I was on there.
Well, he had a great start,
He did.
but we realize in racing it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Torrey getting ready, or on the back straight, just continuing to stretch out that lead.
A great battle between he and Ian Tosca a little bit earlier.
Actually, Wilson. That was Wilson. I was calling it Ian Tosca. Sorry. Apologize for that. But that was Wilson that they were battling out for the lead. And Wilson's not going anywhere. As long as that boat holds together, you know he'll be contending. But it's all Torrey Snyder at this point.
So it looks like we're, according to our screen here, we're 12 minutes and 22 seconds into this. So they might be calling this at 20 minutes.
Right.
If they just put the green flag up.
Well, maybe that red flag start had something to do with that.
Right. I know that here in Sarasota, they're pretty strict about their water laws. And I believe we have the water until about 5 o'clock. So we're going to get done just in the nick of time.
Especially if it rains or has a storm come through.
Oh, yeah, you can see it's starting to cloud out. The overcast is starting to play a factor here. As you can see, it's a lot rougher than it was this morning. The chop is really built up. The race fans haven't gone anywhere, though, Brian.
That's right.
The race fans are loving it here. The SBT P1 race to the Bahamas. Sarasota Offshore Grand Prix.
It looks like Wilson has just kind of settled into a pace here. He's not keeping. He's keeping Torrey in his sights, and going past back markers at will, but he's not really got much left for Torrey, and that doesn't surprise me, Mike.
Ian Tosca, I believe, still in third place as he works left to right. That is south to north in front of us here behind the Lido Beach Resort. Heading up there to that far buoy on the top section on the north side.
And how about the elder statesman out there with Dustin Farthing, King D, coming back? I don't guess he was ever really truly officially retired, but to say that he was active in racing like he is now would be a stretch. And he's doing well, fourth place.
Yeah, great to see him back out there. You know, again, lends a lot of credibility. You know, like we were talking a little earlier, like Travis Pastrana lends a lot of credibility to our offshore teams. And Dustin Farthing, who has won more than 20 world titles, you know, adds a lot of credit here to P1 Aquacross.
And I've talked to Dustin in the pits, not today, but in the past, and he is so focused on providing his kids, Talon and Devin, the opportunity to race pretty much every class, everywhere. Anywhere they can race, they're racing. I saw their schedule this year. They posted on social media, and it was really extensive, all kinds of places, all kinds of races on all kinds of machines. So he's probably out here just more for moral support, maybe showing the kids around the track a little bit.
Yeah, for Devin.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Ian Tosca on your screen now, and Ian Tosca, your winner in race 1, still in contention for some overall points, if you will, being in third.
Last year's world champion, and he took a second in Kissimmee.
So he is in the money.
He's in the money.
He's in the money for the points.
Yeah, taking a first race today. That'll give him 25 more points. And currently, if things stay as they are, he'll take home 18 points from this race right here. The way it goes is 25 for first, 20 for second, 18 for third, 16, 14, 12, etc.
Yeah, I talked to Arminio earlier in the pits, and he was all smiles after that win today, Mike, and nope, didn't seem to have any pressure, was happy, not worried about a thing.
Well, that Dean's team package is really working for him. And he married up with Dean toward the end of last season, and he was able to come back and outdo McCluggage for the overall points win.
Impressive. Yeah, and Dean was working on the ski. They brought in Robert Saya from Naples to do a lot of the grunt work on the mechanics there on the ski, and they were taking some things apart and putting some things back together in the pits between the break.
Well, once again, folks, you're watching the final race of the day, which is race 2 for our pros and amateurs, both in the 300 and 200 class.
Torrey Snyder going around that red big buoy on his way through one more lap in the lead. And look how rough it is, Mike. He is bouncing around on that ski. I guess that's what 50 boats out there racing together does for the water.
Yeah, you can tell. You look a little north of here, look a little south of here. It's a lot calmer water than what you have out here in front of us right now.
So Torrey about to make that final turn onto the front stretch, and he looks behind and says, I think I got this. White flag, Mike.
Uh-oh, yeah, we got a rider down in a bad spot.
That is a bad spot.
Right through that chicane.
Looks like Torrey made it through there unscathed.
Yeah, everybody's having to hit the brakes right here at that turn at the end of the front straightaway.
Course marshals protecting and doing their job, of course. We got some great course marshals on this track today, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, they always do a great job. That's one thing I'll say about P1. Probably, if not the best, one of the best safety crews that I've ever worked with in my 35 years.
Yeah, and they have quite a few, too, like 6 course marshals on the track right now. So, excellent job.
Well, we're going to need every one of them to tow that fleet in behind the behind the Marshall boat out there. It looks like we got about 6 or 7 racers that are having mechanical difficulties, and they're hanging out right there behind the checkered flag. White flag is out.
Right, and barring any unforeseen circumstances, Torrey Snyder has pulled quite the gap on second place Jimmy Wilson, and he should come across the finish line in first.
Wilson doing a good job, just staying consistent. You don't have to win every battle to win the war. Just ask Buddy Antunez.
That's right. Buddy Antunez, a name blast from the past on Arena Cross.
Yeah, we went a whole season, and he didn't win one race, but won the overall.
Agreed.
So again, not too much time to go as we are under white flag racing here in Sarasota as a part of the Offshore Grand Prix. I'd like to say a very special thanks to Short Block Technologies, our title sponsor, as well as HydroTurf, another one of our sponsors, our new sponsor, Celsius. Lots of great sponsors support the P1 Aquacross Tour.
And here he comes on the front straight right now, Mike, on his final turn. Your race winner, Torrey Snyder. Torrey Snyder on that Snyder-built Judge Motorsports racing machine, Yamaha.
Dean's team.
Dean's team. I mean, everybody.
Yep. And everybody who's anybody in the sport.
And just now coming across for second is Jimmy Wilson.
Nice ride out there for Jimmy.
Timing and scoring says Ian Tosca. Let me make sure that's correct. It does look like Ian Tosca may have come across
in second.
Yeah, and I don't see Jimmy Wilson. Let me see.
I had to finish.
I think Wilson may have went backwards a little bit. Ian Tosca took second. Wilson just now coming across, and I saw King D come across before him. So according to timing and scoring, Mike, it's Snyder, Ian Tosca, Farthing, Devin Farthing, and then Wilson in fifth. So something happened on that last lap, Mike. It looks like Wilson is taking his rear seat off on that ski after he's across the finish line to check things out.
Yeah, it looked like he might have had a mechanical problem, and like we were talking earlier, that those mechanical problems always happen on that last lap.
What a bummer. What a bummer. Jimmy Wilson was doing so great the whole race. Despite us calling him in Tosca at the beginning, he was in second literally the whole race until that last lap.
Well, it's been a great day here in Sarasota, and we pan across, and you can see just how many race fans do we have here.
Beach is packed, that is for sure. Well, that was fun, Mike.
Yeah, that was a good time. It was only race number 2. We can do this all again tomorrow Again, we'd like to say a very special thanks to everybody for listening in on the SBT P1 Aquacross live stream. On behalf of Brian O'Rourke, my name is Mike Young. So long, folks. We'll see you in the pits.